My soul's journey. Life lessons through the lens of destiny. An introspective journey through karma, purpose, and inner fulfillment. Welcome to my soul journey. Let me take you into a space beyond time, a space where the soul whispers, where the stars speak in symbols, and where the story of my life is not something to be written, but remembered. This audiobook is a contemplative reflection inspired by my soul's astrological chart, a cosmic map revealing the hidden architecture of my purpose, love, work, health, and spiritual wisdom and evolution. Though shaped around my unique life path, what follows is a universal truth. We are all walking each other home, and the lessons of one can guide the healing of many. Each chapter is an invitation to pause, to reflect, to realign, and to step more fully into the life our soul came here to live. This is not a prediction. This is a permission to live deeper, to live wiser, to live whole. Thanks for joining me. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Unfolding of a Life. As the journey of life unfolds, we see not just events but deep transformations for my soul, shaped by time, karma, and the wisdom. For this soul born under the Leo ascendant, life is a canvas painted with intensity, awakening, challenge, and eventually deep fulfillment. In the late 20s to early 30s, there was a moment of inner reckoning, a time when the external world may have seemed less real and a quiet call from within began to rise. This was the energy of Ketu in the first house, ushering in an identity shift, a spiritual turning point. The usual ambitions no longer satisfied, the soul was stirred to seek something greater, more aligned with truth. This was not a breakdown, but a breakthrough, an awakening that planted the seeds of future wisdom. The path of ego would give way to the path of purpose. In the mid-30s to early 40s, the lessons turned towards relationships. With Rahu and Mars in the 7th house, the intensity of emotional entanglements could not be avoided. Partnerships may have felt like mirrors, sometimes kind, sometimes confronting. Power struggles, misunderstandings, and painful separations surfaced. And yet, beneath these storms lay the deeper purpose, transformation. This period taught the soul boundaries, self-respect, and emotional mastery. Through challenge came clarity. Through loss, the rediscovery of inner wholeness. Then came a new dawn. Around the mid-40s, a powerful cycle began. The Jupiter Mahadasha, lasting 16 years, opened a portal to Dharma, purpose, and expansion. Jupiter, strong in Sagittarius in the 5th house, illuminated my soul's true gifts, teaching, wisdom, leadership, and healing. This was a time when life offered the opportunity to serve, not from a place of ego, but from depth and experience. The desire to share knowledge, to uplift others, to leave a legacy became the new fuel. This is when the soul steps into its mature power. Post age 50, all that has been lived becomes integrated. The spiritual awakening of the past, the relational wounds and growth, and the purposeful expansion coalesce into a life of deep meaning. This is not just success, it is soul fulfillment. A time for legacy, for mentoring, for sharing freely without need for validation. This is a life that teaches us true greatness does not come from ambition but from alignment. The soul evolves not through perfection but through presence. And so the story continues, not upward but inward, not louder but clearer, not for the self but through the self for the world. Chapter 2: Life Lessons of the Soul on Wealth, Abundance, and Practical Wisdom. As my soul matures through experience, another dimension of growth emerges: wealth. It's not just money, but prosperity in its truest sense: ease, flow, generosity, and the freedom to serve without fear. For my soul, this path to financial abundance is not merely about effort, but alignment between mind and heart, between purpose and action. The moon in the 2nd house speaks softly of a sacred link between emotional state and material wealth. When the mind is scattered, anxious, or overly analytical, money slips like water through fingers. But when the soul is calm, centered, and grateful, prosperity arrives like a quiet guest staying longer each time. To unlock this gift, I had to learn emotional clarity creates material clarity. Inner peace becomes outer wealth. Further ahead, as we shall see, the sun in the 11th house becomes a beacon of gain and recognition. The soul is designed to thrive in networks, in communities, in roles of influence. Yet, the sign of Gemini whispers a caution: don't scatter your light. Focus. Choose your stage wisely. Let your communication serve a cause, not just a conversation. The more focused I could make my message, the greater the return, financially and spiritually. And then comes into the scene the great teacher, Jupiter in the 5th house, seated in its own sign of Sagittarius. This is a legacy placement, a sign that reiterates the wisdom my soul has learned across lifetimes. Through teaching, guiding, creating, and partnering, the soul plants seeds of prosperity in others and thus reaps abundance. True wealth here is dharmic. It flows not from what is done, but from why it is done. And yet, on the other side, Rahu and Mars sit in the 7th house, challenging the terrain of partnership and money. There may have been losses, power struggles, or karmic ties in the past collaborations, but each of these was a teacher in disguise. And each time, as I learned to choose partnerships consciously, financial flow would stabilize. It was a teaching me to choose partners who reflect my purpose, not just my ambition. Let your contracts be soul aligned, not just profit aligned. So, how would this translate into my soul's call for abundance? Through small sacred acts, through rituals that tune the spirit to wealth's frequency, chanting the names of Lord Shiva, the bearer of the moon, on Mondays, and giving thanks on Thursdays to honor Jupiter, and visualizing golden light flowing from the heart into all corners of my existence, and most of all, by showing up in service every day. Service is not sacrifice. Service is strength. It says, I have something to give. And in that giving, life gives back tenfold. And so, this chapter ends with a quiet truth. Prosperity is not chased, it's invited. Not earned through exhaustion, but magnetized through inner alignment. And this is what my soul has to say about my journey, whose chart holds both depth and light, that abundance is not a hope, but a certainty. It comes not when asked from fear, but when invited from a sense of purpose. Chapter 3: Life Lessons of the Soul, Love, Work, and Legacy, the Soul's Eternal Dance. In the great unfolding of a life, 3 threads hold profound power: relationships, purposeful work, and the legacy we leave behind. For my soul, each of these areas is not just a path, but a karmic initiation. Let's begin with relationships, a space of deep learning, challenge, and ultimate transformation. With Rahu and Mars in the 7th house, my soul is drawn to intensity in partnerships and relationships. These are not light passing affairs. These are karmic meetings designed to awaken, to stir, to shake loose what is hidden. There may have been times of conflict or imbalance where love felt more like a lesson than a comfort, and yet every heartache has carved wisdom into my soul. The lesson is not to avoid pain, but to refine choice, to choose love that reflects growth, not my wounds, to create space for conscious, equal, evolving, and nurturing partnerships. Key wisdom here being relationships become sacred when it is not about control or fusion, but co-creation with two sovereign beings walking a shared path. Then we move into professional work, the Dharma, the soul's offering. With Jupiter in the fifth house, my soul carries within it a spark of brilliance, an educator, a healer, a guide. The true joy of my life is found not in routine or transactional labor, but in meaningful contribution. Careers that involve wisdom sharing, leadership, performance, spirituality, or mentoring bring the greatest fulfillment and abundance. And with the sun in the 11th house, visibility is my destiny. My soul is meant to shine in large networks, to influence communities, to be seen, not out of ego, but out of purpose. This is a placement of the visionary, one who uplifts others through the presence, speech, and their mission. But remember, work is not just to earn, it is to evolve. The more aligned my work is to my truth, the more effortlessly success flows. And now we arrive at the final thread of legacy. This is not what is left behind after death. Rather, it is what is created every day by how we live. For my soul, legacy is not a monument. It is a ripple of wisdom, love, and service that continues long after words have faded. With Saturn in the 6th, the soul builds slowly and steadily. The legacy will be of a life well lived, of battles well fought, of service offered without fanfare. And with Jupiter's blessings, that legacy also includes generations uplifted, students, children, or communities shaped by the soul's loving light. So the message is clear. Love deeply but wisely. Work purposefully, not restlessly. Live in such a way that your story becomes someone else's inspiration, and learn to let go. This is the path. This is the offering. This is the soul's true wealth. Chapter 4: Life Lessons of the Soul, Health and the Soul's Awakening. If the body is the temple, then health is its sacred flame. And for my soul, health is not just about physical condition. It is the mirror of spiritual evolution, discipline, and karmic responsibility. We begin with Saturn in the 6th house, the house of health, service, and daily habits. Saturn here is both a teacher and a taskmaster. It whispers, nothing of value is given freely, you must earn it. In health, this means the native is karmically asked to develop discipline in food, in rest, in movement, and in thought. Illness may come not as a punishment, but as a pause, a divine checkpoint to reset, to realign, and to return to balance. Saturn rewards structure, a regular lifestyle, clean diet, conscious exercise, and especially mindful work routines to uphold peak vitality. But the deeper truth is, when I honor my body, the soul begins to speak more clearly. Health is spiritual. Every breath, every heartbeat, every quiet moment of stillness is an opportunity to remember, I'm alive, I'm here, and I am sacred. Then we turn inward into the terrain of the spirit. The chart here begins with Ketu in the first house, a powerful indicator of deep spiritual destiny. Ketu severes the ego's grasp. It asks, who are you beneath the labels, beneath the name, the profession, and the body? This has likely felt as a longing from early in life to me, a quiet detachment with a sense of not fully belonging to the material world. That's not confusion, that's a spiritual calling. My soul here is not new, it has walked many lifetimes, and in this life it seeks liberation to return to its source and not just accumulation. Peace, not just performance, and meaning, and not mere achievement. Ketu in the first, balanced by Rahu in the seventh, shows that relationships and human connection are the catalyst for inner growth. The more I can surrender control, let go, and forgive others, and dissolve the ego in relationship, the closer I move to spiritual freedom. True evolution for my soul is not found on a mountain top, but in the ordinary day-to-day, in love, in discipline, and in quiet service. And with Jupiter in Sagittarius, my soul is divinely protected and guided on this path. Guidance will always arrive when needed, through books, teachers, synchronicities, and even dreams. Spiritual truth will flow easily. I simply must trust my inner compass and walk the path with humility. So, what is the health of this soul? It is not measured in years, but in presence, not in organs, but in alignment. And how does this soul evolve? By remembering my body is my anchor, not my prison. My habits are holy, and my journey is not to escape the world, but to live within it awake. This is how the soul grows, not with force, but with awareness, not by denying the human, but by sanctifying it. And when the body and spirit walk in rhythm, life becomes a living meditation. Chapter 5: Key Philosophical Life Principles to Live by. Now we arrive at 5 key lessons of wisdom given to me by my source as a guide by which I live my life. Life principle number 1: live from the soul, not ego. Living principle. Strive to stay grounded in authentic purpose rather than public image. Let your actions arise from inner alignment, authenticity, and clarity of your purpose, vision, and values. Practice detachment from praise or criticism. They are just passing waves. Outcome. This will bring peace, resilience, and spiritual clarity, turning life into a journey of soulful impact rather than personal ambition. Principle number 2. Transform relationships into sacred mirrors. See all partnerships, personal and professional, as mirrors for growth. Prioritize conscious communication, emotional boundaries, and forgiveness. Embrace conflict as a chance to evolve, not to control or escape. Outcome. This leads to deeply rewarding relationships, emotional maturity, and freedom from repeating painful patterns. Principle number 3. Service is the secret to prosperity. With Jupiter in Sagittarius in the 5th house, it gives tremendous potential, particularly as a guide, teacher, healer, or creator. True prosperity comes not from chasing wealth, but from offering value aligned with truth. Align your work with what uplifts and educates others. Be generous with knowledge and wisdom. Don't hoard your gifts. Serve without expectation and allow abundance to flow back naturally. Outcome. Creating a lasting legacy draws admiration and prosperity and leaves the soul fulfilled through meaningful contribution. Principle number 4. Discipline is liberation. With Saturn in the 6th house demanding a life of structure, responsibility, and consistent effort, my soul is karmically rewarded when I embrace hard work, healthy routines, and ethical leadership. The principles here are: number 1, develop regular habits that support body, mind, and spirit. Number 2, honor your commitments, serve with integrity, and lead by example. And number 3, view discipline not as a burden, but as the path to true inner power. Outcome. This creates long-term stability, respect, and strong physical and mental health. Principle number 5. Wealth is energy. Circulate it consciously. With the moon in the 2nd house and sun in the 11th, I am destined to experience fluctuations in wealth until emotional and financial maturity is cultivated. The living principle being, make money a tool, not a master. Practice conscious spending, generous giving, and smart saving. Let wealth support your soul's mission and not become the mission. Outcome: financial freedom, emotional security, and a legacy of contribution. Finally, my soul has enabled me with powerful karmic depth and leadership potential. When I live from alignment rather than attachment, my life becomes not just successful, but sacred. And so, we are ready to close this circle of reflection. What began with a chart becomes a conversation between the self you know and the self you are becoming. Remember this: you are not here by accident. Your wounds are not failures. Your gifts are not random, and your path is not unclear. You are being shaped by design, held by the invisible grace of lifetimes, guided by both shadow and light. Let the lessons shared here become seeds for stillness, for service, for soulful living. Your wealth is your wisdom. Your legacy is your love. Your vision is to learn, to grow, and to serve. Your mission is to educate, to empower, and to enable humanity to live a purpose-driven and meaningful life. And your destiny is simply to be fully, completely, courageously be your authentic self. Keep walking, you beautiful soul, with reverence. The stars are watching. Honor your values of integrity, learning, connection, meaning, and adventure. Your source is by your side every moment of every day, protecting you gently and guiding you back home.